All right, perfect. It is 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Kim, can you start us with a roll call, please?
Noreen Friedrich. Here. Adam Humpkin.
Here.
Andrea Corey. Here. Kelly Moyer is absent tonight. Craig Meyer.
Here.
Lisa Schumacher. Here. Tyson Search.
Here. Everybody stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Perfect. Thank you. Welcome to our visitors. Got a good group tonight. Appreciate you guys coming out and spend a little time with us this evening. Correspondence, we have some really nice letters from the kids.
Got some letters from the kids at the for Board Member Appreciation Day, which was this month, and you've got a bag at your seat that comes from Hope Church. They dropped them off.
Oh.
Wow.
So there's chocolates and candies, and there's a scratch off
That's awesome.
Wow.
things in there. I peeked.
Spoiler alert.
Hey, really? Yeah. Next, Mr. Grody will do Christmas. So. Perfect. All right. With that, any public comments this evening? You have anything you want to say? Hearing none? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Mr. Grody, if you would.
Yeah,
walk
you've
us through
got
that,
your
please.
finance minutes and expenditures and all of those reports. We had 2 resignations. Nicole Kinklier, 4th grade special ed, is going to be leaving us at the end of the semester. She is going into the corporate world. We wish her well. And Michelle Matthews, Eagleview nurse, has left us. It was effective November 8th. She is also working for the home nurse. She's moving to a managerial position with her second job, and so we wish her well as well. We've got 4 people to hire: Rick Yulfs, bus driver; Laura Seidel, custodian; and Charlotte Garcia as an Eaglestone student worker. I also believe that a Lucille Marins was supposed to be added to that. She's a freshman. She's going to be another student worker as well. And then we got Cody Woodfin. He's a transportation director we stole from First Student. He was managing a fleet of around 200 employees, and now he's coming to us, and it's a little calmer and going to work out wonderfully for us. So Cody Woodfin is his name. Other than that, we've got vacancies. We need to replace our nurse, and we need to replace the special education teachers. Those have been posted, and so far we are still looking for applicants.
Perfect.
Administration recommends that you approve that as presented.
All right. Any questions regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tyson. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa. Roll call, please.
Noreen Friedrich.
Yes.
Adam Humpkin.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Craig Meyer.
Yes.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, and we'll move right into our communications reports and presentations. Your enrollment report is in the packet. And builder report. Mrs. Miller is here tonight.
Yeah, I have several
Welcome.
slides here to share. We have a lot going on at the middle school. We're almost already into December, which means our first semester is coming to an end. We have some pictures on the left of our 8th graders who were excited to dress up like the characters from The Outsiders when they finished that book. We have some art projects that our students in both 5th and 6th and Art A were completing and making our school beautiful. We also have some of our SEL Day activities. Our 7th grade boys, as soon as they became a team, already went and won a championship, so they are definitely somebody to come and watch because they, I believe, are now 8-0. They're winning all of them, so we're really excited about that. And then we had some fun at Halloween, and our students created their a pumpkin contest, and those are some of our submissions, as well as at the end we had Damon Schlimmer, who unfortunately last year broke his hip, so he didn't get to participate in the PTA win of the principal for a day, so I made that up for him last month, and he enjoyed telling everybody what to do on our PBIS Eagle Buck Store Day. So, and our next group, our slides, was our Veterans Day. So those were all the veterans down below that showed up for our ceremony. And we had close to 150 there, and it's always a great opportunity for our staff to do something for our community and our veterans. They loved it. We received a few thank yous and some cards. A veteran had said that he had been to, he said, close to 40 Veterans Day ceremonies in his lifetime, and this was top-notch, up there within the top 3. So he was really excited. And Lieutenant Rostel, top left, he was our guest speaker with his son, Simon, who's in our school cross-cat program. And so we were just really excited to have the community come for that day. And then I have Miss Langang here with 2 of our top-notch students, Katie and Rose, that are going to talk to us about our mindful movement class.
So I'm Rosemary Langang. I've been in the school district for 28 years now. Put my 4-year letter in July, so I'm in the pipeline now. But last year we started a PE class, which is called Mindful Movement PE class, and it's an alternative to the regular traditional PE class. The reason why Sarah Klein and I wanted to start this was because our PE teachers do a great job, but they give the kids options. So we got half the gym playing maybe Chicago ball, the other half of the gym was playing volleyball, and still there were some kids that didn't want to play either one of those, and they walked the hall, which is fine. But I noticed that crowd there that was walking in the hallway. It was a large group of kids, and I just had an idea with Ms. Klein to try to make that a little more meaningful for them. So I talked with Mrs. Miller at that time, also Ms. Smith, the assistant superintendent, and we wanted to offer kids just another option for PE besides the traditional PE. So we came up with our catchy name, the Mindful Movement, and last year we piloted the program. We only had 1 section last year, and we had a mix of 7th and 8th graders last year, and we had 18 kids. This year we asked those 7th graders who are now 8th graders to come back and be a part of the program. Most of them took us up on that, so we have a large 8th grade section of 13 kids, and then we have actually a larger section in our 3rd hour class of 7th graders with 14 kids. And so and those are the only 2 classes that we can do it in. Sarah Klein's a social worker, I'm the school counselor, and we can't do it every hour of the day because we're needed in the building for other things. But, and like today, I did both classes on my own. Sarah had a student issue that she had to work with. And sometimes we're fortunate enough to be with the kids together, but probably 70% of the time it's just one of us there, which is fine. So this year we had 2 sections. These are some of the things that we do during the week. I don't know if it gets pretty small up there. Monday we call it Mindset Monday. And right now we're in the kind of an off season because we're bowling, and in December we skate. So all of our kids are doing that. Most all the kids are doing that. But when we get back in January, we have Mindset Monday, which we do meditation. We do some lessons, first 5. We get into some questions and class discussions, and just the kids are really opening up. The kids, and I'll let you guys speak here in a second, I think they're finding this environment less threatening, and they're able to express themselves without being judged and without, so it's a pretty calm environment. We do yoga, we do meditation. We've actually heard some people snoring when we are laying there on our mats on the floor and the lights are out, and we're watching and listening to our instructor telling us the steps of meditation. So meditation Monday. Tuesday we usually walk. So we go out to the track. Last year we would go to the park. This year with the construction we've been staying at home and walking around the building if the weather's bad, or doing laps around the track. That's mainly Tuesdays. Wednesdays is Workout Wednesday. We've established like a Tabata circuit in our classroom. We have a classroom, and we've got boxing in there. We've got weights in there. We do planks. We've got 15 stations that we work around. We do usually 1 or 2 45 seconds on, 15 seconds to get to the next station, and we do 2 rounds. We'll start off with a warm-up lap around the building. Thursdays is health, because we are mandated to give our PE kids health, so we do a health unit every week. And then Fridays is game day and leisure activities and board games and Jenga and bingo, and we painted pumpkins and we made pancakes, and we so Friday's just kind of a day for the kids to just relax and hang out, you know, and do fun things, life skills type things. But I wanted to, and I talked to them a little bit today, didn't coach them at all, but I just wanted them to, Rosie, one of my favorites because of Rosie, and she's awesome. Rosie's one of the students in my 3rd hour class, 7th grader, and Katie is one of my students in my 2nd hour class, 8th grader. And I've seen them both grow through the year, Rosie particularly from last year to this year. I'd like to say it's because of mindful movement PE class, but Rosie's just is a great kid and does a great job. And I don't know, Rosie, if you wanted to talk a little bit, or Katie, if you wanted to talk a little bit about mindful movement PE, or what your favorite part is, or what you enjoy. What do you enjoy about mindful movement PE class?
Probably the fact that I can do something I like, and also it helps me get away from problem people, or
Okay.
people who just give me problems for no reason.
Okay.
So,
What's your favorite activity in the class?
probably boxing or Friday.
Okay, good. Katie?
I really like that on Tuesdays we can get outside and do some walking, because usually with regular PE we don't really go outside often, but if we do, there's usually just football or just walking.
Right.
And with being in my movement class, I can walk and talk with friends.
Good. Any questions about our program? We hope to do it next year. I think we'll be able to do it next year. It's awesome. Love the kids. They're having a great time with it, and it's the best part of my day.
That's great.
Awesome, thank you very much. That's great. Good job, guys. All right, now, Assistant Superintendent Report, Dr. Gainey.
Okay, amazing things are going on here, as you have heard so far. A big congratulations, the soccer team made it to state finals. That was exciting to see over the past few weeks. Volleyball as well made it to sectional finals, also a huge accomplishment, excited for them. We had our fall musical that the high school drama club put on. I was able to see Peter and the Starcatcher, the Sunday performance, and it was very good. These are some pictures that kind of captured some of the favorite parts in the performance. As always, we have our district shout outs, and I'm really turning to the principals to get nominations for these. So I would like to start with Eagle View. We have Mrs. Jamie Mansfield, the secretary. We would all be lost without Miss Jamie. She works all day long supporting students, staff, and families. Everyone loves her, and rightfully so. She's an integral part in keeping our school running smoothly and helps everyone problem solve. Recently, she has been especially helpful during our search for our next school nurse at Eagle View, and that was Mrs. Vinnie that shared that. At Parkview, they're kind of out of order. We have Mrs. Angie Barnett. She was nominated by Mr. Dugan. Angie is a veteran 2nd grade teacher at Parkview. If you look up the term advocate in the dictionary, you will find a picture of Angie. Angie makes sure all of her students' needs are met, and she never gives up trying to solve a problem. She's a great resource to the 2nd grade team and the entire staff. She's on the Tier 2 committee for her leadership and overflowing toolbox of tricks to help students with behaviors, attention, and academic weakness. Angie is always cool as a cucumber and is a terrific asset to the Columbia School District. And then for the middle school, we have Miss Sarah from the office. A huge shout out to Sarah for all the incredible work she does every day, from keeping our calendar on point and organizing substitutes to training a new secretary. She helps make everything run smoothly. Her hard work and dedication were especially appreciated in making our Veterans Day celebration a huge success. We are so grateful to have Miss Sarah on our team at CMS, and that was Miss Miller that shared that. And then at CHS, Mr. Reeves shared that Mr. Rozecki is a consistent go-to person. He is a coworker I trust to always do their best and do the right by students. He's a great problem solver, he is an ideal team player, and offers his support without hesitation. Sometimes I might argue he does his job so well that it creates more work for himself. Mr. Rozecki donates a large amount of his day to the needs of our students, whether it be in the classroom, the endless responsibilities of being a case manager, and coaching our student athletes outside of the regular school day. Thank you for being such a valuable part of CHS, the CHS team. We have some amazing people here, and our principals are proud to share that. So a big congratulations to our district shout-outs. In addition to that, I think that it's very important for me to shout out both our SRO, Officer McWhorter, and our district school nurse, Mrs. Turley. They have been integral parts of our district plans we've been working on. With Officer McWhorter, we've been working on safety plans. We met with the city and our district safety team in October. Since then, that's spun a lot of conversations with building safety, and we're working on updating all of our safety plans, in particular reunification. Officer McWhorter has went above and beyond to help with those plans, meeting with building principals, communicating that to me to make sure that we're moving forward in the right direction. In addition, Mr. Grody and I have both attended parent safety nights that Officer McWhorter has kind of spearheaded on tough teenage areas that they could use some information on. So we're just proud of all the work Officer McWhorter is doing for the district. Mrs. Turley has stepped on board with me as far as doing the new cardiac emergency plan that is mandated to be in all schools in January. We have been training staff. We wrote the plan together. In fact, the ROE 45, reached out to all superintendents and asked if anybody had the plan done. I was happy to share that we have the plan done. I shared that with the ROE. In fact, I was collaborating with the Muscuda assistant superintendent. He says, "Hey, have you heard of this cardiac plan?" I said, "I just so happen to have that plan." So I shared that also with Muscuda. Again, I couldn't have done it without Mrs. Turley. She has been a huge asset in helping me along the way. In addition to amazing individuals that have been doing amazing things here, as I mentioned in October, we do have a landscaping crew that is going to be helping us with landscaping projects. In this picture are the landscaping crew members. We have Mr. Birch as our leader, Hudson Bryant, Lucy Moore, Ella Van Brutigan, and Ella Daly. Not pictured is Maya Crabtree. She was not there that day. They met with me on Tuesday, and we went over their plans. There are 5 of them. Their plans are so amazing. We decided collectively that we would like to take unique parts from each of the plans and turn something amazing and beautiful to be the entrance of the district office. Again, we're just starting the conversations, but it was really amazing to meet with these students and talk to them about their plans and their creations. They mapped it out. They did some financial planning. We gave them a budget. It was a really neat project to kind of see them spearhead. And I'm excited to see it kind of come together in the spring. The other big thing that we had this past month was our summative designations, which I'm sure you saw on social media. 3 of our schools are commendable, and then our high school is exemplary. I thought it was important to share that when you are coming up with designations, as have been in the past, there are different indicators that give you those designations. 75% would be your academic indicators, and then 25 would be a combination of your school quality and your student success. So there are different weights for each school, which I think is important to remember when you get your summative designations. Again, 3 of our schools commendable, which that means we are meeting all of our achievement gaps, which is an amazing place to be. So a lot of hard work happening at our commendable schools. Exemplary, again, is also top notch, and we should be very proud of all of our hard work. Overall district data, grades 3 through 8th, the district surpassed the state with both ELA and math with their IAR scores. There was a proficiency improvement in ELA from the 2022 to 2023, 50%, and then we went up to 62 last year, which is very commendable. And then there was also improvement with math, going from 46% to 55% overall. For our SAT scores in 11th grade, there was an improvement from 39% to 44% with ELA, and then 35% to 42% in math. It's important also to point out that we are SAT as of last year, but we're switching to a new test this year, ACT. We are working on that transition and hoping to prepare the students for that transition when it's time. This is the overall index score for the high school, which again did and met exemplary. It's important to note that the overall index did go up higher. We're even closer to that 100% mark, so we'll see as things kind of change with the state, because they are talking about doing different accountability factors for our scores and summative designations, how things will change in the future. Here you will see this is the high school. 97.53 was the overall index. What I think is important to point out with high schools in general in Illinois, when you're getting your summative designation, the biggest percentage is weighted on graduation, which I think is a unique indicator. I also think that means that we can focus on some of our high school, the high school vision as to what CTE courses are we offering, how are we best preparing our students after graduation. I think that's important. We have a high graduation rate. How are we prepping them for their next step? CMS, they are commendable. They did improve from last year. A big thing that we are super proud of with CMS and their summative designation is there was a 5% increase in both math and ELA for their growth. So that's awesome. Keep it up. Keep it up with that curriculum. When we moved to Parkview, we had math growth of 4%. The ELA growth decreased by 4%. So that makes me wonder, our ELA program, our resources, how are we meeting those needs? How are we doing the achievement gaps at Parkview? And then Eagle View, again, there was a decrease in ELA. We are working on our ELA curriculum. However, there was a math increase of 3%. So some things to be proud of and some things that we can grow on and continue to work on. Overall, we're very proud of our district, and that's where we're at. Any questions on the amazing things happening at CUSD4?
A lot of things are going on. It is the start of the silly season. We are into the holidays. Next time we meet, we will be done with the first semester of this year, which is kind of hard to believe. I will highlight a few things. The data that Dr. Gainey was good enough to share. Performance reports are been submitted for last year. The grants we had, there's a new person approving performance reports at the state board. And so we've had to jump through different hoops this year, but we've got them jumped through, and I believe that they are all done. I'm currently having weekly meetings with Link as we get that software stuff. We did acknowledge the fact that in January, W-2s are going to need to be submitted. And so by December, we're going to be done with our meetings with Link because we will be done with the conversions. SRO officer, I also want to say that if you go to our website, you go under district and you then drop down to parent resources, you will, or actually you hit district and you'll see parent resources as one of the columns. In that column is the SRO videos. If you go to that, the first show that Officer McWhorter did on drugs and alcohol is there for you to watch. The one that he did this month I was at, it was all about cell phones. And I learned how pictures are hidden, I learned how pictures are stored, and I learned how to explore my children's cell phone. And so when that video is up, Mr. Nickerson's gonna get that up. He does a wonderful job of editing them, and he's got the SRO officer, and then he'll go down into the bottom of the screen and you'll be able to see the graphics and everything, but it's really easy to follow, and you look at your phone, and I didn't even realize my photos were organized in such a way. Very handy when you're looking for something. But that's really what's been going on. We've got a closed session today. There'll be no action afterwards, but we do need to talk about a complaint and some student issues. that said, that's pretty much it.
Very well. Moving on to our items for action. The first one is the approval of resolution authorizing the estimated aggregate tax levy for the year 2024.
Yeah, and this is done twice. We will do this here as the tentative and then again in December. We do not need a hearing because we are extending 4.95%. If you do 5% or more, you need to have a public hearing explaining why you're extending more. Our EAV does grow, and we do leave what they call leave money on the table. With our current fund balances and whatnot, capturing that extra money to try and with our fund balances, we don't really need that right now. I'm not saying that in the future you won't have to have a hearing and extend the taxes, but our taxes are below 4 right now, so there's nice room to move there. With all of that said, the administration recommends the board approve the resolution authorizing the levy, and you'll have more time to think about it as we do the same thing next month.
So it's just preliminary approval of
It
the
is
levy.
preliminary approval.
Perfect. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing estimated aggregate tax levy for the year 2024?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Adam. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tyson. Roll call, please.
Adam Pumpkin?
Yes.
Andrea Corey?
Yes.
Greg Meyer?
Yes.
Lisa Schumacher?
Yes.
Tyson Search?
Yes.
Noreen Friedrich?
Yes.
Carries. Next item is the approval of the purchase of video boards.
This is one of those situations that I'm just going to call serendipitous. We are building a gymnasium. We needed to discuss a scoreboard. We decided to take the scoreboard out of the big project because then you don't have to pay the percentages and whatnot, and we'll do the scoreboards on our own. That way you don't have to pay the architects for that or the construction managers and their overhead. While that was happening, we were then contacted by a gentleman who is moving his company, Digital Scoreboards, to Columbia. And he presented us with what a video scoreboard would look like at the high school, at the multipurpose field, and inside in the gymnasiums. We talked about various things, from curriculum to the revenues from the ads and everything like that. And he gave it at a very good price because he was, around $100,000 of donations because he wants us to be part of that. To do our due diligence, we did meet with Nevco, the company that we currently have, and I gave them the dimensions of the video boards that were being proposed to us. Nevco gave us the price. Digital Scoreboards was below the price of Nevco. I will say Nevco did say that they will match any price that we were given. They would not like to lose our business. Just being completely transparent. But give me your best number, and the local guy was lower. More importantly, what's really kind of sets this apart is the curriculum that comes with it. With video scoreboards, districts are able to do advertising, and with the advertising, his company has a way of assisting us with that. Ultimately, though, what you want to do is you want to form a curriculum and you have a class where the students learn how to do the graphics and the design, but then they also learn how to do the game day itinerary. Dr. Gainey and I met with him today to talk more about the curriculum, so correct me if I say anything that you think is somewhat out of line. But the goal would be in a few years, we get the stuff, we learn how it works, we learn how everything goes. We ask them to assist us with the advertising the first couple of years, and then we segue into this class. And what the kids would learn how to do is how to run the machines and how to do the videos and how to operate them during our own game days. There are colleges that run similar equipments, and they give scholarships or jobs to the students that would be able to work this. But what we'd really be looking at with this scoreboard would be a curriculum purchase, an advertising purchase. This also takes this expenditure out of the construction project and brings it into our current revenue or our current fund balances. It is right now to replace our multipurpose field video board and to have 2 video boards in the gymnasium. It's $200,000. for an additional $85,000, we could put a nice sized, a 10 by 19 video board on the back of the current scoreboard. That will increase our revenue for advertising, because when you drive by Route 3, you'd be able to see that screen. It'd also be graduation dates and things of that nature. That is a large cost. We do have the option of leasing it if we'd want. Leasing it would be around $40,000, it depending on if we go with the one on the back or not. What am I missing, Dr. Gainey?
Just with the curriculum, I feel like the most important part is that we do a multiple year implementation. What they suggested is year one, you do a train the trainer. So they would come and they would train all of our staff members, and then the staff would then train the students that year one to man the scoreboards during games and whatnot. A very low key, and that would also allow us administration time to understand what this curriculum, classes, teachers would need in order to facilitate such a course. I do think that if year 2, year 3, we could create a class with an instructor, it would directly go into that segue of CTE classes and past graduation and what we're providing for our students with options post-graduation. So yeah, that's all I have to add.
In the bids, you'll see that there's another option where you could get a Score Vision software. I would not recommend that we do that at this point in time. The Score Vision software is the state-of-the-art software, but the system, as we're purchasing it, comes with a Pro Presenter software, which is very similar. Both of them are run off iPads in the press box, and so very easy to do. I will also say that when we implement it, if we would do it now, we would try to get these up and running before tariffs will be added to the Chinese purchase, and because all of this stuff would be coming from China. We would also be able to get this up before the soccer season, hopefully, to start that revenue generation. What's nice about that is that we'd be able to learn the software in soccer, where you've got a running clock and the scores. It's just a lot easier to deal with. Then we'd have the summer before it gets into the crazy season of football and everything like that. So we've looked at it. The recommendation is that we would go with digital scoreboard and go with a new video scoreboard at the multipurpose field and inside. I would recommend that it gets put into the current gym, with the current scoreboards taken down and stored, and then the current scoreboards would go back up as the video scoreboards would go into the new gym as part of the there.
What kind of cost is that, do we know, to take them down and switch scoreboards?
I don't know. You're thinking that it might be cheaper to just get new scoreboards in the other gym?
So it's all matching.
Or just
And
wait.
that
Wait
is
on Wouldn't buy it, but don't put it up, yeah.
yeah. Right now, what I'd be recommending is we buy them and we would put them up, because having them in the gym for basketball season, if we could, or for anything else, would be beneficial to us as far as selling the ads.
Talk to us about ad revenue.
The ad revenue. So you really have no idea how it goes, but the way that it works, until we have the class and we take it over completely, and we don't want to take it over completely until we actually have the class. But what they do is they help us with how to start the proposals and how to set up the ads. The gentleman that has this company comes from the advertising background. He is worked for Pepsi, and he worked for a billboard company. I can't remember the name of it, but he's in the ad field before he moved into this scoreboard company. And they will help you with that whole process. And with them doing the ad sales, it would be 50-50. If we go to somebody and get a sale and we bring it to the things, we would get 75 and they'd get 25 of the revenue. If they're the ones that are contacting the people and they make the sale, then it's 50-50. And so what he calls is that's kind of a sliding adjustment. But he was saying, I said, what is your thoughts? What's your gut reaction? And he said, with the businesses around here, he would think that we would probably make around $100,000 a year once it's up and running and going. the number of dentists, orthodontists, banks. You know, you really are selling it to the people that are advertising to who's in the seats, which are parents of kids and things of that nature. And so he really does. I mean, as far as the scoreboard came at a cheaper price, he's got a curriculum where the other companies are developing the curriculum. And as far as the advertisements, he is going to help us walk through it. Yes, he'll make some money off of that. However, once we're up and running, then it's really just kind of the renewals and whatnot, and you move away from having him help you.
So say he sells an ad this year, it's a 50-50 split, and then once we take over, do we still, is that
The
perpetual?
renewals after that, so yeah, it would be, it would not be perpetual.
Okay.
The renewals.
So once we take over,
He
then
would get
we would get
50-50.
100%.
My understanding is we would get 50-50 or 75-25, where we get the 75 until for those 3 years. Because what he says is
Okay.
he does typically a 5-year deal. They do 3 years because then what you do is you do that renewal. And so every year you're looking for somebody to do a 3-year contract. And did that answer your question?
Yes. So worst case scenario and using a lot of, I don't know, I'm not sure what I want to say, but so there should be a 5-year return with no problem.
Yes. And the life of the product, it comes with an 11-year warranty, 20-year life expectancy.
Okay.
And are you recommending purchase or lease?
I've gone back and forth. I'm recommending that we work with them. At this point in time, I think I'd go with a purchase. There's advantages both ways. With the lease, what happens is after once it's over, you get new boards and you just get the cycle of lease. The problem with that is that when they say it's a 20-year life expectancy, you can get it to 25. You get those extra 5 years and you're getting all that stuff. A lease, you don't ever get to that point of making more money. Right now with our fund balances and our tax rates and things of that nature, financially, we're doing okay. So I would probably say purchase.
What's the proposed term of the lease? How many years?
They would be 7 years.
7
They do a 7-year lease. He was saying it would probably be, depending on if you do the 85,000 or not, 40-ish. He would need to look at that.
So the numbers work out the same over 7 years pretty much, or not?
I did not do the calculation because it was a 40-ish. It was not a set number.
Gotcha.
But my recommendation is that we would expend or give me permission to expend $285,000 to go with the video scoreboards. That will have additional costs of getting a little more electric and some fiber to the locations. But both companies did not include that in their costs, so it is apples to apples.
Do they come
So
with
to
new
speak.
sound systems too?
I don't know.
That's a good question. If not, we need to think about maybe stepping up our sound
When we
system
met with them, I don't remember.
I
in the
don't think it
gym
does.
and at the
Sound system, yeah.
multi-purpose field.
I don't think it does.
I think
but-
they just expect to tie into the existing
Yeah.
sound.
I will look into that though, make sure that we're on the same page with that one.
And and the budget can currently support this?
The budget that we approved is a little bit in the red. The fund balances have the money for it, so it can support this. It would be probably a deficit year as far as the O&M budget, because whether or not this comes out of the education budget or the O&M budget, I mean, you could move that around. But it is an additional expense, but our fund balances are.
Any idea what a scoreboard would run for the old gym if we added one more? Instead of taking it down?
Well, I mean, the
Understand.
indoor ones are for the gym, so you have
Yeah.
two, one at each end, so you're talking $80,000 for the scoreboards in
Okay.
a
That's what they've
gym.
quoted, yeah.
So
Okay.
that's where, when Mr. Rhodey and I were talking previously about, it'd be most economical to take them down, keep the old ones and put them back up, because that will be mostly a practice gym at that
That's
point.
true.
because we'll have a competition gym, which we'll move them to. And, I mean, removal and installation, removal of existing and installation, we would basically just be doing that in reverse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only a small, have to assume a smaller portion of the $80,000
Yeah.
that they quoted to us, so. And later I'll be talking to where we're at on the construction budget, so there's nothing in our budget that says we need to spend extra money at this point, so. Anywhere we can save that makes sense, we probably need to,
In the construction budget.
yeah.
But this is something we're gonna have to buy regardless, so this is.
Right,
this is
we have
not
to buy
something we can
scoreboards
cut
at some
out,
point.
yeah.
I was just talking to, earlier you mentioned maybe we buy new ones for the new gym as well. We're already over budget.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Any other comments, questions? I think anything that pays for itself is a good thing.
Yeah, I do like the purchase versus the lease. Before we were talking, when we, because Mr. Grody and I, we did meet with them a few weeks ago. We didn't really talk about numbers on the 10 by 19 scoreboard on the backside, but at that point they were like 37,000, I think was the lease. So you basically pay a lease for an extra year or two of what our otherwise return would have been. So it reduces your risk, but it does, you know, they have to make money too, so.
I will also
And if
say
we can
that-
support it from a budget perspective, then why pay the extra 2 years to reduce it? If we can afford to do it, and then we get to
Right.
6 years after that of hopefully just actually making money on it to
Exactly.
help fund our.
Well, it turns into a revenue
programs.
source.
Right.
I will also say that currently his business plan is customers will be flying into St. Louis. He'll be putting them up at the Principal Hotel. He's got his office, his corporate offices are here in Columbia, and so he'll be putting them up at the Principal Hotel. And so we will likely have visitors coming.
Will be the showcase.
Will be their dog, which means the service that we have for our scoreboards will be very good.
Yeah.
Because we will scan everybody's ID and walk them around and show them our facilities, so.
That may feel like buying a scoreboard. Well, scoreboards, excuse me.
Longer wait than bloody.
I'll make the motion. Purchase the scoreboards.
Andrew makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Lisa. Roll call, please.
Andrea Corey?
Yes.
Greg Meyer?
Yes.
Lisa Schumacher?
Yes.
Tyson Search?
Yes.
Noreen Frieder?
Yes.
Adam Humpkins?
Yes.
That's exciting. I think that's a great move. So thank you for all your time and both of you guys looking into that. All right, item C is the approval of the 2024 teacher and
We're gonna
administrator.
get to that next month. We're doing the weekly meetings with Link, and I'm sure that by December, we will have our teacher and administrator salary and benefits report.
We're gonna kick that can down the road.
Again.
Well,
It's gonna stay on there until we get it.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying.
all right. What about our approval of years of service record?
That one we can approve as presented. This is a
didn't
yearly
change?
things. It did not. There were some questions, but nothing changed.
Perfect. I believe that is all in your packet.
Yep.
Take a look at that.
There was a long, I don't want to say hiring freeze, but gap in the number of people hired, I did notice when looking at this. There are a lot prior to 2015, but then there's like a 10-year gap, and then it's like, and I mean, it's just an observation that I think for succession planning and for the future, we're gonna have to look at. We've got like a 10-year span where there's a whole lot of employees, and then 10 years, 9-ish years with very few hired during that period. I believe Taylor's actually one that was picked up during that. And then we've hired a lot since, so there's gonna be a
I
period
will
of
tell you
time.
that this is an interesting problem that schools have, and a lot of districts are what we call a barbell, where you've got a lot close to retirement and a lot brand new. And when these people leave, you get more. But I believe, and I'd have to do a deeper dive, but there was also 5 to 10 years in Illinois that funding was just so poor. Nobody was really replacing jobs.
Yeah, mine was just an observation that we need to probably put on, we have a lot of teachers with 30-plus years, and which is great from an education, but from a managing employment is sometimes a challenge.
People keep going in the pipeline, right?
People retiring.
Guess we just need a keeper.
That's right.
The recommendations to approve the
Years of service. Okay. We'd like to make a motion to approve the years of service record.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Noreen. Second.
Not money on that one. It's
I'll
quick.
second.
All right. thank
Had to
you.
get one in there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. That's unanimous. Next is approval for the graduation date and time.
Yeah, this is one of those things that we try to do as early as possible because families need to make their plans. That said, Mr. Reeves looked at the calendar. He's recommending Sunday, May 18th, 2025, 12 p.m. at the multipurpose field, and it will be in the gym if it rains. That would be our recommendation.
With the functioning sound system.
Starting at noon?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Why are we moving it up this year? That interferes with everyone that goes to church.
It does.
The
I know there have been some things in the past because in May it can get very hot, and so I know like the 2-3 o'clock had been an issue for a lot of people because it's like the heat of like it's the
It hasn't
the peak.
warmed up completely yet.
But
at noon.
I agree
So-
that also
But it's
that
May,
could be an
it's not
issue for
July.
like it's right in the middle of. So I don't know necessarily what the answer would be to fix
Well, we
that,
are
but-
doing this early because we are still in the idea of trying to get this. So I mean, if noon is too early on Sunday, we can.
I believe in years
Last year,
past, we
Waterloo
did
was
1
on the
o'clock.
same day. That's why we were earlier and they were
They were
couple
later,
hours
yeah.
later.
But I think we were at 1 o'clock last year.
We were,
Waterloo's
but we were
graduation,
very
so-
close to the same time as Waterloo last year because we did have people that had to run from one to the other. It was tight. It's,
I mean, if I was gonna accommodate one or the other, the number that are going to Waterloo versus the number that are probably impacted by their Sunday schedule.
the noon I think really had more to do with it not heating up, trying to get after churches and before it gets too hot on the field because our last graduation was a scorcher.
Yeah.
last year was hot.
We're actually trying to start to discuss at what point do you, not because of rain, but because of the heat index, you go inside.
And it typically or has to be on a Sunday? You do the
No,
sports
if it's
or
on
do
a
the-
Saturday, you need to do it late in the evening because you've got people that might be going to state for track,
Right,
baseball and stuff. It's just, it's not.
Can we look at 1 o'clock?
I like 1 o'clock.
yeah.
I think every,
I'll bring this back next month.
Still not as hot as 3 or 2,
Right.
but not, yeah.
But at least
enough
How about-
time
How
to
about
get people done.
we
Approve
approve
at
this
1
for
o'clock?
1 o'clock, and if we need to change it next time, we can do that in the interest of everyone's time.
Served at the pleasure of the board.
Adam, was that a motion? you
I'll
just
make
made
that motion for 1, for 1,300 hours on May 18th.
12 May. Or 18 May, right?
18 May.
All right, Adam has a motion for 1 o'clock on the 18th of May.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Noreen. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. 1 o'clock it is, unless we have an issue.
Press policies. I have started paging through them. They look like they are mostly just updates and nothing strikes me as huge. The revenue and investments seem to have a larger change than the rest of them. But again, I've started paging through them. This is the first reading, so please try to look at them. If you have any concerns, questions, let me know. But administration recommends the board approve the first reading of the press policy updates. Press policy issue 117 to be specific.
All right. Seems like these are about once a month anymore, so.
Yeah, first glance, I didn't see any major
Yeah.
I think issues here.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, maybe like to make a motion to approve the first reading of the Board Press Policy 117.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Lisa. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Tyson. Roll call, please.
Maureen Krieger,
Yes.
Adam Hempton,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
I don't believe it's on our agenda, but we do have one more item here that we need. Are we doing this discussion here?
What's on here?
That's an action item, and it's in later on down the road.
Oh, sorry. All right.
It's,
That's just a opinion.
B in the next discussion items.
Oh, it is. Look at that. All right, I stand corrected. All right, we're on to our discussion items. The first one is the facility study.
Mr. Emkin?
Okay, so an update on our construction project. Right out of the gate, I will say that where we're at now is we're starting, we got DD, or our first, I'll call informed estimate, or better informed estimate for the phase 2 and 3, which is our auditorium and then the renovation of the existing space. And a few of the tasks, yeah, the gymnasium, sorry, I said auditorium. A few of the tasks that we had postponed, like the green rooms and stuff from phase 1, we moved to phase 3 because there are things that we had to offset on phase 1 costs. So where we're at right now, once we got some of our cost estimates back for phase 2, is we are $3 to $5 million over budget, which is a lot, but it's essentially 10% of the project. That is assuming all of phase 3. So what I wanted to kind of do is talk through some of what we have tabled, which is part of that phase 3, which grew. Originally, our phase 3 was about $2.5–3 million, and it's about $5 million right now, because we did things like renovating the green rooms behind the auditorium. We moved that from phase 1 to phase 3, and then there were a couple of other, and the bleachers. We originally had some actual seat backs in there that we took that out because the budget's just simply not there, and then a few other things. But so I wanted to kind of discuss where we're at, that some of the structural costs, Kim, you might have to help me on this, but some of the structural costs came back higher. Originally we were at around 12 or 13, and now we're at like 14 or 15 million for phase 2. Not due to any changes in design, just strictly it came back that some of the costs were higher. We were able to offset it in phase 1 because we went with a different method of building, but you can't really do that with a gym. You've got to have a certain type of structure, especially with our, yes, storm
I just want to
shelter.
jump in real quick, because the green room and the auditorium, those are, in the design, they are right now classrooms that would be turned into green rooms. And so when we were looking at the phase 1, trying to keep that down, those areas can be turned into green rooms easily later without losing anything from the phase 1 plan, but it just will be a phase 4 or a phase 5, and that'll be done with revenues, because the key thing here is we're trying to make sure that our bond and interest payments stay absolutely flat as far as the tax goes. And so I just want to make sure that we're understanding where the revenue's coming from that's paying for these and where we're moving them to, because the goal is for the bond and interest to stay absolutely flat as the tax rate while funding this. So like the scoreboards that we bought, we're doing that out of our fund balances, but we'll be able to do projects after the bond and interest, like remodeling the green rooms and getting that fully operational over years.
Right.
And so,
And even with those green rooms, it is still in the project for them to change the doors and make them to where they are functional rooms backstage. We won't call them green rooms because they won't have all of the, they won't be furnished as green rooms necessarily and have the changes of the walls and mirrors and all that a green room you would expect with sound dampening and all that. But they will be sealed off or closed off rooms with new doors where the current windows are in the exterior, kind of. But they are putting the doors in, just not renovating the inside of the room. So we'll still be able to use them. It'll still be a very functional back of house space. They just won't be renovated true green rooms. So But with that, so some of the things that I wanted to kind of bring 3 options to us, to you guys for discussion of how we move forward going with this. We've talked to Stiefel. We could actually borrow the additional, if we could go up to potentially another $5 million, stay flat, because our original budget, the EAVs for Columbia have come in higher, and there is more borrowing power and still maintaining that goal of staying flat. I don't know, that was not our going in. I'm personally not one that likes to just raise the budget, just because there's more available. But it is an option. So I wanted to present that to you guys, that we could go up to that max and approve, it would essentially approve the entire project or close to. You might miss some things in phase 3, but that's where you would cut it out. It's just with the renovation of existing space, whatever doesn't make the cut, but it would be most all, if not all. Another option is to really scale back that phase 3 and increase. We're still going to have to increase the budget, but probably, depending on where we set that threshold for phase 3, maybe $2 million to $3 million is kind of what I'm putting together. Now, this isn't the construction company this is Adam's putting it together, but I've looked at all of the numbers, all of what they're proposing. Right now, the phase 2 budget goes to our max. So essentially what we would be doing is approving a phase 3 cap. What I looked at for phase 3 for renovations, we could get our flooring that they proposed, so you would have consistent flooring throughout. There is the food service cooler and equipment, so you would increase the capability of the cafeteria. Putting in the elevator still, there's some partial fire suppression, and then all of that from their budgeted line items comes up to $626,000. That does not include some of the ancillary support. You're going to need some elevator lift. You're going to need electric ran to there. You're going to need a few other support functions. So what I believe would be reasonable without raising our budget or our bonds too much is approximately $1 million or to $1.5 million for phase 3, which would increase those. Now, what we wouldn't get from that is we wouldn't get remodeled bathrooms, the existing bathrooms. The life skills and the media center, the current library and life skills area wouldn't get renovated. There's a complete redo in the future plans. We still will have all the drawings and the engineering. We just don't have the budget to do it. The green rooms, as we talked about, would become basically either another project later or something our DIY classes could do. And then some of the existing classrooms wouldn't get as much of a facelift or improvement, but there's the flooring and the painting still would happen. So that's what I'll call option 2, is a partial phase 3 with what I think can help with some of the aesthetics and functionality, but it wouldn't change. The biggest changes to the life skills, the bathrooms, and the media center. That's probably the biggest impact of that. And then the other option, because there always has to be 3, that came from the government, is you don't approve any of phase 3 and we cut that. But I just don't think that would be a very worthwhile thing, since we are still able to meet our original goal of not raising our tax levy. It's kind of a in between. So wanted to throw those out there, see what questions you guys have. And really I was surprised when we got the numbers, but I mean, they did show us, and Ben has done a great job with the estimating and being very transparent on where the numbers are, and it's just bad news is bad news. It's just how it is. So
well, we got good news on the phase 1 because it came in a little bit under what we were expecting. So we had a little bit there, but also from the get-go, when we started the design and everything else, our main goal was structures, because we can't go back and add a building later very reasonably, but we can sure remodel something later. We can take that space and change it, that sort of thing. So we really wanted to get the superstructure, let's say, completely finished, and then we have all the options after that. So
I mean, and with the phase 2, with the gymnasium, we have cut out the walking track that was originally part of it. We have really tried to figure out where we can get our bang for our buck. And there's not a whole lot. When I looked at this and said, okay, is there anything else to cut? There was about $60,000 we could have cut if we wanted to change the exterior finish from the brick, the thin brick, but then it would have gone to a sand, and really that would have looked like a warehouse. I wouldn't recommend that option, which is why we really, I mean, it's $60,000 and it's gonna drastically change the look of the building. So I wouldn't recommend that one. The only place I could see any space would be there is a referee's room and a referee's bathroom. If we wanted to white box that, we could see what that would save. It wouldn't be a ton, but it would, I mean, it's something that can, just like the green rooms, could be done later if the plumbing is still be roughed in, the space is there. We could still have a functioning gym. We just wouldn't have a designated referee's room. That might be something to consider, but that is literally the only thing I found that I think without sacrificing functionality that we could do. The other part of this is when we started, we did talk about it being a storm shelter, but there were some added costs that came in with it being a storm shelter and getting that designation. We do that up front, but I don't know where if that price was in early or not, but that was also a consideration. So with that, I'll digress and open it up for any.
Actually, the storm shelter was not in the original plan because.
Right, it wasn't.
But the
in
amount
budget.
of renovation we're doing requires the storm shelter. So.
Yeah, I just don't know where. So I mean, right now I'm looking at we're maybe 5 to 10% over. They told us it would raise the price 10%. So I'm not really all that surprised because the structural part is what's costing us money. It's just kind of catching up with us, I think.
I think it was FGM too. They were originally talking about the gymnasium being the storm shelter, and they scaled it back and found out that the locker rooms can be the storm shelter, and so.
Yeah, we added
shrinking.
3 feet to the hallway into the locker rooms and we're able to meet the number.
Which actually saved us a bunch of money. So instead of making this entire gymnasium storm-proof, we made a smaller area. So we met the requirements, allowed us to do it, and that did save quite a bit of money, so.
Do we have any idea if this referee room is one of those things that's required by the IHSA in order for us to host certain things? I mean, I knew there were certain requirements what your gym had to fulfill. I just wonder if this referee room is maybe one of those things.
I've not heard of it from that perspective. Seating,
Yeah,
and
no,
such,
it's
but not-
typically what they want is the number of capacity for seats and then the size of the roof. For like in volleyball, our gym is tough for sectionals because we hit the roof too often.
And, yeah, my recommendation would be to turn one of the existing coaches' offices, since
Right.
all the existing locker room and stuff will still be there, turn one of those into a referee's room in the interim if we go down that route.
Question, Tyson?
We have an expert in our midst as well. This is Kim from Cobalt. She's our owner's rep and very, very active, spends a lot of time on this and.
Her kids are gonna be going to this school, so.
She organizes our meetings and summarizes everything, and we make her do head counts, and we give her all kinds of silly little tasks, and
She keeps us.
she always comes through. Yeah. So anything you would like to add?
I think that the district has done a very good job with the second phase. I don't wanna say it's not frivolous, it's very meeting every goal that you had as far as competitive gym, but looking at it just from doing years of construction projects, there's really nowhere to cut from. Like you said, referee, if you don't do that, it's 20,000. If you don't do the brick, it's 60,000. It's pennies compared to what we're looking for. Phase 3 is renovating your back of house spaces, but your existing spaces. A lot of that was for your future growth as far as your 5, 10, 20-year plan. So it's not all needed day one. However, we will get economy of scale if we can do it while we have PEGPER on site doing those general conditions that you're already going to be paying for, because the construction for phase 3 would happen during phase 2 through the summers. So if you did it later, keep that in mind. There would be inflation, general conditions, all of those. But I think the team's done a really good job trying to keep budget in mind but not sacrificing the goal of the overall project.
And one thing we want to make sure, like if we do postpone the referee room, is it going to cost a lot more in the future to do it than, you know, if it's half the price now, then it's silly to kick that can down the road where we just have to bite a bullet and do it. As long as we can keep, our main goal is not raising taxes. We want to keep our tax rate flat, and that's, I think we say that, 10, 20 times a meeting?
They're aware,
So,
they're very
yeah,
aware.
They're very aware of that fact. So.
But that's huge in the community.
It is. Well, it's not our money, it's their money, so we have to be good stewards of it, and that's where it comes down to. But I guess we're kind of looking for some direction from the board, what you guys are wanting to do, or what do you think?
Is there anybody that disagrees? You recommended option 2, correct?
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, I'll just kind of rehash. So option 3 was don't do any phase 3. Option 1 was, you know, approve it all, which I'm not recommending that one either. But with option 2, the way I would recommend, again, was include all the flooring, the food service, cooler equipment, the elevator, because the second story doesn't have an elevator, the partial fire suppression. So basically up to $1 million or $1.5 million for phase 3, and that would allow us to minimize the additional bonds, still stay flat or within. And to me, it still gives us some risk money if something comes in, because these are still only 50% drawing estimates. I don't want to be without what I call risk money. If they come in higher, then what do you do? Then we'd be over even farther. I'm just not a fan of going up to that ceiling when we're still only at what I call at the 50%. So if we approved, I guess, 1 or 1.5 million for phase 3, that would still leave us about $3 million of buffer. That we know from talking with Steve Wolf, with Ann, that we can easily borrow or issue more bonds in at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if she would characterize it as easily, but
Well-
she said that you've got, you know, it's going to function basically if our EAV does better than expected, then you get, if our equalized assessed value, the value of our property goes up, the bigger that number goes up, the lower percentage you need to get the same amount of money. We also want to be cognizant of, within this budget, we don't want to send those payments out too far, because when you're doing bonds, when you're doing these facilities, you don't want to ever go past 20 years payback, because every 20 years you should have another big need for a facility. And so we can do it. It's going to be juggling some things around. She even said that, you know, maybe one of our earlier purchases, depending on what interest rates do and whatnot, we might refinance again.
Right.
It worked for you guys wonderfully the last time you refinanced before I got here. I don't know if that'll ever happen again, but.
If it does, we will refinance in a heartbeat. I can
Right.
agree with that.
And so there's a lot of moving points. She felt very comfortable that up, you know, that 1.5, she might have used the word easily for that, because I was down on 5.
Yeah, I looked at 5 and went, no.
Okay. So for the record, Adam was absolutely right with what he said.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that would be my recommendation. I probably would go with 1.5, just to ensure we have enough support services for all those things, and that'll give us some, if we can get a few other minor things in there. But, you know, we do have to go forward and just knowing or with the awareness that when it's complete, like things like not on the second floor of the gym, there's not going to be bleachers initially. We're still going to seat 1,000 of people, I think, or something like that in the gym without them. So it's not necessarily still seats what our current gym does. So we're not losing any. It's just in bleachers or something that can easily be added later. There's that's just, you know, one that made sense. So there will be some things like that when people are like, you built a gym and you didn't put all the bleachers in. Well, if I had another $500,000, you know, sure. Is that where we want to prioritize it? Or do we prioritize it by putting an elevator and some fire suppression in the rest of our school? You know, that's the kind of trade-offs we're making right now is, you know, an elevator and fire suppression in the existing school, or more seats in the gym that we, so,
And I think the bleachers were an alternate, so.
Yeah, we're getting
if the-
prices and
If they do
alternate.
come
Right.
down lower, we could get those bleachers if the prices
Right.
come in at.
And again, these are estimates, so when we actually send it out to bid, then we get our firm numbers. So this is just a projection of what the experts think, so.
So again, I mean, that's my recommendation is to make sure that we have a consistent feel through the building, is still do the flooring, the food service, the elevator, and the painting, and the fire suppression. So when I went down their price list, that was $626,000 for those portions. And that'll help at least not feel so like it's such a drastic transition from brand new building to old building. You'll have at least the same flooring and color and paint palette, and you'll get to touch up the existing space. So
Questions, comments?
Is it necessary that we're making that decision now before we send it out and get real numbers? Like I'm worried about not knowing what the real numbers are.
I'm gonna need to, as we start doing more bonds, I need Ann to start crunching the numbers to know if we're gonna go 1.5 over what we had originally talked about.
I think the main purpose of this discussion is, does anybody have a desire to go full vote at this point?
yeah, so there,
You know.
yeah, it is twofold. It's the financing piece, because that all has to be planned essentially now. We have to kind of say where that threshold is, since how much are we projecting to raise it? And then the other part is having the entire team and then having all the contractors bid. Having them bid an extra $3 million worth of work that is never gonna happen, and then having to redo it, it affects the timing, it affects their willingness. I mean, there are implications if we know we're not gonna do certain things. Asking for prices as alternate or estimates versus do this as 100% bid. I mean, so it does matter from being genuine with our RFP and with our request to go out. If we know we're not going to do $1.3 million of electrical on the renovation part, which I just can't see that being feasible. Then you don't want to go out to an electrical contractor and be like, bid this $4 million job, but it's actually only 2.5. That's kind of disingenuous. So that's what we're trying to avoid, because there is $750,000 in HVAC in the phase 3, because once you move that life skills and you redo the entire center of that building, we won't have to bid any HVAC hardly if we go forward the way we are. So we don't want to ask for bids and then be like, nope, we're not doing anything. And it's about the borrowing money, so.
But also keep in mind that the whole project is for future growth, it's not an immediate need. So a lot of these areas can easily wait, and they can even sit empty if we need to. So it's nothing that we have to do, or it's pressing, or it's gonna.
Well, and like the life skills part, we have a fully functional life skills area now. We were just going to basically remove that and then redo it. And the same thing for the media center. The only thing we're not getting is the additional space for the cafeteria seating. But we're going to improve the functionality of the cafeteria by getting the coolers. So, but the seating was for future growth. That's not even like a 3-year requirement as far as our current projections. So I don't think that would have an immediate impact. That's why I'm proposing the way we did it, the way I am, the things that can wait. So, yeah, I just don't want to go tell Ann we need to redo all of it. It's a lot easier for her to say, okay, the last series of bonds we're going to issue was at 10,000 or 10 million. It's a lot easier for her to say, okay, let's look at 12 million, versus taking it from 10 to 15 in our total cap. So that's just trying to make sure, get the numbers as close as we can to be, I guess.
But also, this is a board decision, and if you guys want the full deal, I mean, that's what we'll do, but it's.
Yeah, and to me, there's two decisions. One's the financing side, and the other is the actual method of what we go forward. We could ask for the full financing and then back down, I think. you know, we could ask for her to look into that additional 5 million of financing, but go forward with the construction company with the plan of only doing an additional $1.5 million for phase 3. And not having a plan for the other 3.5 million, they just don't issue it at the end. I don't know. That we could ask about that approach too.
I was gonna say, why don't you just at least ask her about that? Going for the full.
And because the one thing that we really, and that's why this is kind of coming to the board now, is what we don't want to do is, if we can do it for 5 million now or 15 million later, we'd rather spend that 5 now and get it done. So that's kind of where we're hesitant on this direction as well, I guess, right?
Well, not really with I mean, because I mean, honestly, with the middle of the building renovation, I really question, like, some of the estimates. For the electrical and HVAC, you're talking $2 million. Just for electrical and HVAC alone to move the media center and the life skills space. I just don't know how that's, I mean,
I've said from
the gym was 1.5 million for all electrical for the entire phase 2. So
Yeah.
I think that's why some of that I'm like, I question those numbers to start with, but to me, it's more about the functionality and where the numbers made sense. But I don't think that the numbers are going to go up drastically by doing it later, because it's already a standalone project.
Right.
Doing that what I call the core of the existing school was already a separate project. So.
Well, and our initial numbers on just even paint and flooring were ridiculous. I mean, for the renovation costs, in my opinion, but I haven't had a whole lot of confidence in that phase 3.
What I'm hearing the board say, though, is that I should try and get a clearer picture and of what our interest rates would look like dependent on EAV growth and the number of years paid out for 1.5 to 5 million.
So let me ask another question. So, not to interrupt you, but so what would be the board's preference on, do we complete the new construction of this phase 2 completely and kick the other down the road if we have to, and we do all this financing contingent on the phase 3? Or do you guys want to even it out and do a little phase 3? And I guess we can't really cut a whole lot in phase 2 though, can we?
The only thing that we haven't cut out of phase 2 is we already cut the walking track.
Right.
We already cut the second level bleachers. The storm shelter, it has the requirements, we're at the minimum requirements for storm shelter. The locker room, there's really no meat there. We did go down in the flooring from, to I don't remember which flooring option we went to, but we went from the more expensive flooring to I don't remember what type.
We went from Men in Black to the,
No,
Men in Black.
not the court floor, the actual floor in the locker room itself.
Oh, in the locker room.
I think we went to a residence flooring maybe. But anyway, so we've already cut where we could.
The difference between phase 2 and phase 1, for those that know nothing about construction like me, is that in phase 1, we had the opportunity where the dressing rooms and the green room are currently literal classrooms. And so we can add the door into those classrooms, and instead of them being dressing rooms and green rooms, they're gonna continue to be those classrooms that no one has class in, and we'll be able to use them, but it's not going to look like a green room or a dressing room. There's not gonna be counters, it's not gonna be new, whatever, it's not gonna be fancy. But only the students will see it, and we'll be able to make it fancy later on. It's a remodel. With the gymnasium, it doesn't overlap with any of the old buildings, so there's no remodel that would be able to be kicked down the road. So, like in the auditorium, we did look at things and we did make cuts based on the large project, but in phase 2, we also made cuts, the walking track and things of that nature.
I mean, yeah,
But there's just no opportunity to kick anything into phase 3 because phase 2 has no remodeling in it, where phase one had remodeling that we could kick down the road.
Yeah, and things like looking, they had 270,000 or something in athletic equipment in phase two. I will be looking at all of those lists. You know, what are we doing in these storage rooms? You know, are we actually putting, you know, how much are we spending on building out storage rooms when we have 1,200 square feet of storage with 14-foot ceilings? You know, if there are areas that we can cut, that we could, you know, or minimize, that I will be looking at every opportunity there.
Count on it.
They all know it. They cringe. But
I like the idea of doing the whole thing, but I'm more comfortable with your approach.
yeah, I mean,
Option two.
I would love to have
You gotta-
turnkey and, you know, it's beautiful, it's done, it's 100%.
You gotta at
but-
least make the old space look like it goes with the new
Mhm.
space, so you
Yeah.
gotta
Right, I mean,
do
if you're walking through it, you literally have a hard stop, from new building to old building,
yeah.
you know, that it doesn't create a real great atmosphere. So,
Since it is a 50% design budget update, we still have room to figure out if, you know, how accurate are those numbers? Maybe the question could ask finance, hey, what does it mean if we go the full amount? But then we can just work internally to say to the 1.5 or whatever that number is. But before any decisions are made of what's committed for phase three, we could circle back with the board. I think timing wise, we would have time to do that before you would send everything out to bid. But at least you would have the answer with finance of all, and then what if I want all, but I only end up needing this? I don't know that it's hard now, but, you know, maybe we can talk more about that at December. But I think just getting the test of how you guys feel about all, partial, none is one of the bigger questions, so that we know how to move forward with schedule and finance. I think the nervousness is
I
like
think
I
they're
know
wanting
the
to go out
answer now.
in January, so that's why I wanted to bring it this month, because,
Well, that's for phase two, not phase three.
yeah, but I mean,
They're
we have-
almost hand in hand with.
Right now, we gotta make both decisions, because Ann needs to know before January.
Well, I think you should look into going the full, see what it would be financially. Just so that we have, you know, some numbers.
Okay.
Is supplemental fundraising an option?
Supplemental fundraising is always an option, but what you'd need to do is you'd need to remove it out of this, have it be one of those projects we do later, and then you would do the fundraising to do that. Cause you don't wanna say, I'm gonna do this, do a fundraising campaign and not have any funds raised, cause you've done it, so.
So that's what we were thinking for maybe the bleachers, and maybe the green room renovations.
Right.
But that would involve
Like
taking
Chris
it out
said,
of this
kind of
bid
makes it a
and
phase
saying we're
4.
gonna make these cuts and then build up later, so.
All right, so I think the consensus, if I'm reading the room, means we're gonna look into the full boat and
We will look into the full vote, see what that is.
keep our options open and.
And see what yeah.
Everybody good with that?
Adam's
No.
saying no, I'm not.
I mean,
It's information.
It's just
I mean,
information.
I need
Yeah.
from a
information.
financial perspective, yes.
Yeah, I just.
Right, exactly.
As far as my direction to go forward and talk to FGM and Pecker, I need to give them some guidance, because it does, when they redo this, there's going to, like I said, I only had some of the line items I could come up with, but which way to actually tell them to focus their energy, because I can tell you that Ben, the guy doing the cost estimating, is working as fast as he can just to keep up with us. So if we tell him no change, go full boat, then
Well, I think
when
we,
I ask for the other numbers, he's gonna have to redo it all.
right. I mean, we still pursue every cost saving option that we can. I mean, I think we still go full court press on that and keep everything that.
So right now, no.
How long do you think it would take Ann to get some of the financial numbers together?
I mean, it's gonna really be like, whenever we do the tax levy, it's always a crapshoot. I mean, you make your extensions and you do it based on what you think's gonna happen. There's so many variables, the EAV growth, the economy, what the interest rates are with what we get and everything. It's gonna be hard for her to, yeah, I guess what I'll say is, you know, she's gonna give you conservative estimates, and we'll find out how many years it is and everything. I don't know if I don't know, I'll have to talk to her about it and see how well she can forecast.
I'm feeling we haven't decided anything.
What I'm hearing, I think what I'm hearing is that we're looking at anywhere between 1.5, which is what Adam's comfortable with, up to 5. And my job is to talk with Ann Noble and have her come up with the number that we can
Yeah, have her run her
actually say,
projections.
yeah, that we can actually say, I mean,
And we did ask for it, but I don't think she was able to just give it to us, because this is literally at the end of last week, so Chris did ask Ann to kind of tell us where we would be. She came back with we could make 5 million work, we could figure it out, basically, is kind of how, to summarize it.
and
We'll
what
figure it out either way. It might be messy, it might be, include some stuff we don't
I
necessarily
think what
love, but
and so
she didn't give us
it's like,
here's a definitive number. She
I'm
did not
feeling
give us
very
that.
much like I'm at the car dealership with my son who says, I want that. And I'm going, no. You know, and I can do that easier. What my feeling with all of this is that she can make it work, but I don't know if that's the best decision for us. I mean, this is a financial thing that we need to make sure that we don't screw it up for the next 20 years.
Right.
Because we need to make sure that time frame is there for the big jobs. You know, we've got 2 budgets really. You've got your yearly budget that we deal with, but then you've got this bond and interest budget that you get to do whenever you stretch those out to. And so trying to get everything you want now might not be the best use of the funds. I mean, I get it, you got your cost of whatever, but those green rooms and those dressing rooms, kids can change their clothes in them. You know, my office is a classroom. I have no issues with my office being in a classroom. You know, I'd rather the dressing room gets done before my office gets done. You know, but what I'm saying is they're still gonna use it as a dressing room. We just might need to have a fold-out table for them to put stuff on instead. And so
And next year you'll have a DIY class that can do a lot of that.
You know, and so I'll try and get the numbers, but there are a lot of moving pieces in this because we haven't even gotten the bids back from the first one. But I think really what it is what I'm hearing you all say is you really want this done the way that we had envisioned it and planned. And I think what I'm gonna talk to Ann about is, and this will be the financial pain you have to deal with that.
And I'm a bit of an optimist, but I think we can get the whole thing done on Adam's option 2. I think bids are gonna come down a little bit. I think the phase 3 is wildly overpriced.
So
I mean, yeah. And so, I mean, I think a lot of this is probably a moot point, because
So what I'm hearing though is the entire board's comfortable with going 1.5 million over what we had originally agreed on as we're going through this, for lack of a better word, negotiation process of trying to work things out.
I don't think we have a choice on that, personally.
Okay.
without severely sacrificing.
Exactly, yeah.
The feel of the
Yeah.
finished product.
Right.
Well, the action item will come when you guys approve the next job scope. So we're just getting marching orders from this discussion.
Yeah. And again, we're not giving up on this, and we're not gonna lighten up on the negotiation or anything else. We're gonna do everything we can through design and bid and whatever we have the power to do to to get this thing under control and as reasonably as we can.
Right. But at least the phase two, I will say that I have pretty good confidence in their numbers being close, because most of them came from them actually reaching out to different vendors for each of the bid areas to get numbers from the industry. So this isn't, the original ones was just their estimate. These are more informed by actually reaching out to each part of industry. So that's why I call them informed numbers. So I don't think they'll be drastically off. Phase three, I think those are drastically off. Because they're all estimated based on square footage, and
Right.
what we're asking to do isn't necessarily complex for all of it. So having a square footage renovation number plugged into it that's comparable to what we did for phase one or two is,
Right,
to
exactly.
me, I think, pretty far off.
All right, any other questions or comments? Input on that? Once again, thank you, Adam and Chris, for all your work on this. It's been a bunch. All right, now the favorite time of year is our IASB resolutions.
If you go to your little IASB resolution book, page 21 is the first list of the first 6 is resolutions that received a do adopt recommendation from the resolutions committee. Is there anybody that's got any issues with Mr. Search following the recommendations, or is there anybody that wanted to know on that?
The only thing I have something to say about is the polling place. If we don't use our schools for a polling place, taking that day off of school is,
Yeah,
the
and
kids
so
would rather get off earlier at the end of the year than to take off. the
my
election day.
understanding of that issue, that's number 6 on the
They
polling
agree with
place.
that.
The resolution committee is agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that resolution for the
Oh,
polling
that's
place
like
is to
murder.
say that they can't, the
Okay.
governor cannot make that a holiday.
Ah, okay.
Thank you, Ms. Pollock. And so, yeah, the polling
Okay.
place is,
Yeah.
you're in line with the resolution.
Yeah.
We're doing the resolutions, Andrew.
Page 21 is the cheat sheet.
All right, so we're all good with adopt on items 1 through 6?
Adam, do you, oh, you have.
Yeah, I found it.
And then 7 through 10, A's
7
and
through
B's.
10s are no's.
They're recommending that they do not adopt. Is there anybody that disagrees with any of those?
I didn't read the note.
What?
I missed it. I was busy doing
The other stuff?
construction stuff.
I didn't see any.
I didn't either.
Okay.
Are we good with the recommendations?
Recommendations
All right.
are those. And then the last
Wow, that
one
was
is
the easiest one
amendment.
ever.
You got one more,
Oh.
amendment. The parliamentary,
Oh, yeah.
they do an amendment because, this is an adoption, it's the 2/3, this is, they were clarifying Robert's rules, weren't they, or something?
I don't know, I read this so long ago.
No, I didn't read it.
Oh, what was the page for that?
I missed that one completely, so.
22.
No, I'm not finding it.
Is it 10? No.
I think it was in the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's 10.
Page 10?
Page 10.
There you go. Thank you. Page 10.
Sure, so 7.
Yeah, it was the Robert's Rules. So instead of reading the Robert's Rules of Order, most recent edition, it's specifically saying the Robert's Rules of Orders newly revised shall govern. And when they're not incompatible with the Constitution and any special rules, the association may adopt to provide those rules. So it's whenever Robert's Rules conflicts with the Constitution.
I don't have a problem with that personally.
When they're not incompatible with the Constitution, so. What do you think, Andrea?
Not incompatible.
Yeah.
Stupid.
The English department did not write that.
I'm not sure okay. And I'll go along with it, it's fine, it just, it's not makes sense.
I think what it is that if the Robert's Rules says we do this and the Constitution says we do that, Robert's Rules will always govern unless it is not incompatible, which means compatible.
Right.
No.
That's what.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's now, see, this is government speak here. So it's not saying that it necessarily is compatible.
Double
It's just
meaning.
saying it doesn't object.
Correct.
It's basically another way to say it.
Okay.
It doesn't,
So when the two are not the same, which one takes precedent?
Robert's Rules.
Robert's Rules.
It's always gonna be
Unless
Robert's
it's,
rule.
yeah.
unless you get a 2/3 vote.
My read of it, actually, I think the Constitution or whatever would rule if they're incompatible. I think it's saying Robert's rules unless they're,
Incompatible with the Constitution.
yes, because the Constitution overrides Robert's rules, is the way that I read that.
Okay, yeah.
This language would give IASB the authority to adopt constitutional language and special rules that may not conform to Robert's Rules of Orders and specify that the association's constitution and special rules outrank Robert's Rules of Order, provided no federal, state, or local laws are violated. Second column of page 10. So, are we fine with that?
Yep.
If you have any questions, Tyson, you're the one voting for us.
Got it.
I'm sure our little school district doesn't really mean a
Our little school district votes our votes count just as much as the big school districts, because it's one vote, one person.
We're in Illinois.
Well, I don't know, that one year we didn't agree with a lot of things, and I don't think it
It didn't sway the outcome.
didn't sway, you're right.
Exactly.
Got it.
All right.
But our voice was heard.
Our voice was heard, yes.
Absolutely. All right, put that one to bed then. We're on our time for individual board member comments.
Whew.
Anybody have anything this evening?
I have a couple more.
Oh, no.
One actually is just a request. So I did notice in looking through the financials, the middle school electric bill is $18,000 a month. That's almost the same as the other three schools combined. So my request would be to look into why the middle school bill is electric.
I can
Dawn,
actually
what are you
answer
doing
that.
there?
No,
No, I mean,
one of the-
part of it should maybe just be an energy study. It's not,
We did that with Ameren. One of the the key answer to that is that the Eagle View and Parkview are very close. If we went with solar, we could almost go to zero energy, because we are both of these buildings are built on geothermal. And so our energy consumption here and at Eagle View is just a lot lower than most school districts. And And so.
Well, I get that, but the middle school's 18,000 and the high school's 11. I would consider them more comparable. I mean, that's just, it wasn't,
middle
not
school's
necessarily
never should
saying
be
he
more
was doing
energy
anything wrong,
efficient.
I'm just like, okay, you know, maybe it's not even an energy study from a, do we go solar? Maybe it's a, we have an electrician come in and do a, where is all this?
Check the meter.
What the heck's going on?
That's
Because
right.
sometimes it's load balancing, like my house, I did it, and it saved me like 20% of my power bill just by switching meters or switching breakers around because it goes off of one pole. So there's just different things that they can do from an metering perspective, because it might be drawing more off of one side, like this, how mine was. So just something to look at that'd be worthwhile, because we're spending so much, and that's just disproportionate. I mean, we have, I would call them consider, you know, similar sizes, and they both have a gym, they both have, and one is 50% more than the other.
I will look into that.
Turn the lights off when you leave the room.
I don't think that's gonna be 7,000 a month.
Everybody helps out.
So, the other thing that I had was, I was looking at the funding for some of the sports teams, and I'm just trying to figure out how the soccer team did fundraising, because they were phenomenal at it. Last year, they had like $9,000 in their balance, now it's like 30.
Wow.
And then we spent $5,000 on a
I
bus
know they
to go to the state
sold
tournament.
T-shirts, but I don't know.
So
I
I'm
was
trying
gonna
to
say, I've got a T-shirt.
I know they sold T-shirts.
So I'm curious what they did to raise like $20-some thousand when none of the other sports programs have been able to do that.
Baseball's got a lot too, did you? They
Yeah,
have over
baseball.
20,000.
Baseball's always carried a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they start with a big balance though.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they do
Right.
either.
And then, you know, did the $5,000 for a bus come out of that account, or where do we, because that seemed kind of,
District paid for the bus, right?
Mhm.
I was kind of shocked to see that we spent $5,000 on a bus, but.
That's actually, yeah, that's what they go for, especially around state competition time.
Do we do a bus for?
We do it for anybody that goes to state.
Okay, yeah. I was like, well,
I really wanted our middle school kids to go to Springfield, and just for a day, a bus is $6,000.
yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That seems, because
And
the
that's the school
5,000's for the
transportation.
driver to stay overnight and
Yeah.
everything too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
If anybody has a hookup of other transportation, I want to.
So, yeah,
I would, we can only go $600.
I'll look into soccer funds and middle school electric.
I don't
Yeah,
know what they
I've-
do other than T-shirt. I mean, they do T-shirt fundraising and.
I mean, I was like, wow, that's
know
impressive. What are
they're-
they doing? Because
yeah.
the other, they
Well,
figured out a secret
okay,
sauce.
so
that
wait,
there's
time
no
out,
sports
time
happening.
out. That balance this month might include some of the stuff from Crawford Bryant. Is that going into the soccer
It
fund?
very well
Or is it going
could.
into a separate fund?
No, I do think it's going into a soccer fund, so that's probably
It's going into a
big
separate
part of
fund?
it. No,
It's going into the soccer fund, so that jump is probably all of the,
which I know
I
they're gonna
will
be
look into
taking
it and
that
find out
and
for
using
sure.
that for. yeah,
and they're
for
planning on
memorials
using
and
that
things like
for
but-
scholarships or
Yeah.
something at the field and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, I don't believe that that's separate. I believe that everything, every check that has been written or donated due to that fundraising has just gone to Columbia Soccer.
Okay.
So that's a huge,
Yeah, I just
jump.
was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's a huge anomaly there.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
But if you could
I won't ask.
confirm
So,
that,
yeah.
if you
That's
could
all?
confirm that,
I
that would
think
be, yeah.
I will look
Yeah.
into that.
Anybody else have anything? Comment? Board President's prerogative, I do have something tonight, and I have congratulations all the way around. So, I'm not sure if anybody's aware, Monday was the filing deadline for school board, and we had 4 filings, which is Mrs. Corey, Mr. Search, Adam Hempkin, and myself. Filing's closed, and we are unopposed, so we're gonna have the same board for the next 2 years or better, so congratulations to
Of
all of you.
note, you each need to at least vote for yourself,
Hope so.
because
We figured you'd vote for us just to make sure we got on.
I'm gonna think about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I
So
just don't want you saying that you're appointed because someone's got to vote.
It only requires 1 vote, so somebody out there will just check a box.
We hope so, that's right, we hope so, but congratulations, y'all, we have a great board, and I'm tickled pink that it's gonna continue, so. Yeah, some great minds. And another congratulations is in order, which I we missed last month is our esteemed superintendent is now Dr. Grody. And he is a humble man, and he will
Congratulations.
not toot his own horn, but I will for you, so that's a huge accomplishment.
Congratulations.
He accomplished that while being.
It took
our
no voting at all.
Well, I expect you to start signing your emails, Dr. Grody.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. That's a few prescriptions.
That's quite an accomplishment, so
Yes.
congratulations on that, so very proud of you all. All right, and that's all I have, so.
Closed session.
We do have an executive session and we're MB. And it's gonna be for the purposes of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against the legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity pursuant to I-5 ILCS 120/2C1, and also placement of an individual student in a special education program or other matters relating to individual students pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C and 10. With that, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tyson. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Andrea. Roll call, please.
Noreen Friedrich?
Yes.
Adam Hemken.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go into executive session now. We have no action items as a result of our executive session. Our gallery has left the building, so if anybody wants to return to the online and watch us adjourn for the evening, you're more than welcome to, but we will be right back. We are back in open session, concluded our executive session for the evening. We have no action items as a result. Only thing left on the agenda is the motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Adam. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Noreen. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that concludes our meeting, 9:13 PM. Thanks for joining us.